All right, welcome back. I have the rubber bands again. I'm shooting some videos back to back, so yeah, deal with it. Today I want to talk about freedom. Freedom for men is, well, it's the most precious asset, commodity, isn't it? If you don't have freedom, you have jack, basically. Men have died for freedom, and men will keep on dying for freedom. Actually, the events that recently unfolded, I'm not going to mention them for fear of getting banned, but those were very much related to taking away our freedoms. So it's important to realize that as a man, having freedom is absolutely essential. So, what do I mean with this? When you're a kid, you depend on your parents, obviously. You live with them in the house, the apartment, whatever. You go to school, you come back, and your mom has cooked for you, cleaned for you, done the laundry, vacuumed everything. So, on the surface, you don't have much freedom, and you do not really. But when you move into the adult world, what happens is most people get a slave 9 to 5 job, and it's a very precise term, being a slave, right? A slave 9 to 5, because you are a slave. You're accountable in in front of a boss. You have a boss. He or she tells you when to arrive, when to leave, what to say, what to wear, blah blah blah, and it sucks, right? You might even have a very high paying job, a very prestigious job, and it's still horrible because you have to show up. Even nowadays, for example, I'm in IT, so I can work from home basically. And it still sucks. I do not have my freedom to its fullest extent because I still have to attend calls, meetings, I have tasks to do. It's it's not fun even if it's well paid. Okay? Now imagine if you were some poor slob slogging at a factory or at a supermarket, a cashier or some delivery guy. You're tethered to that job 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and God forbid, even more. So, where is your freedom exactly? Where is your freedom to choose how to spend your time, right? And unfortunately, you can't say tomorrow, I quit, because you have nothing to your name. You don't have any the financial means to pursue whatever you wanted to do. So things start getting chained together in this sort of uh, chain of dependencies. You could say that. So if you want to actually be free, at least financially, you're going to have to find a way to untether yourself from the slave economy somehow. And unfortunately, for most people, this is not a realization they've come to. They're perfectly happy to slave away from at a 9 to 5 job, making someone else rich, growing someone else's business, making someone else free. So, and most men will never come to this realization. They're perfectly happy being chained to that job, being chained to that woman, being chained to their circumstances. And we have many chains in life, not only our job. Sometimes a chain can be, as I said, our woman. It's it happens sometimes. I felt it too, right? In my past relationship, my girlfriend, she was super, super nice. I really like her personality, but sometimes I felt chained. So, what can you do if you're super dependent on someone? If you have no other options, if you are if you're of a meek character, if you're afraid to let go, if you're afraid to move forward and be alone for a period of time, it's this you're still a slave, right? So freedom is very expensive. You have to have money, you have to have a decent character to be able to withstand being alone. So it's and these things are very difficult to acquire, right? Financial freedom, very difficult. Takes a long time, very difficult. You have to build a business or be smart with your investments. It's not easy. It's not easy. And most men haven't even started. So here's a place where you can have a massive advantage. Just start. Why don't you just start? Starting is the first step. And it gives you a massive boost. And with women, same thing, right? Uh, Go approach a woman, expand your horizons, right? It's it's a struggle, but a struggle well worth fighting for, I think. What about if you're, let's say, as I said earlier, you're living with your parents. Let's say you're a man in your 20s and you're still living with your parents. I know such guys. And this is a double edged sword, I think. On the one hand, you don't have much freedom in terms of space, but, and there's someone telling you, you always have to sort of pay mind to the other person, what they're doing, not be intrusive, that sort of thing. You're living with other people basically. But on the other hand, you get other freedoms, right? Your mother cooks for you, she does the laundry. So that's like two sides of the same coin. And it's difficult. Like on on the one hand, I think you should experience what it's like to live alone. So let's say you turn 18, 20, you go to university, you fend for yourself, right? You live alone. And that's good. You come to realize that it's actually pretty difficult to keep track of everything, right? You have the bills to pay, you have to do your own laundry, you have to cook for yourself. It's a never-ending story of chores basically, and it's a massive time sink. And until you have the financial means to outsource all of this, you're stuck doing it for a very long time, and it's time drain. And then you start appreciating what your family does for you basically. I had this situation recently here. I live in a house and in this room, right? And I used to live with my parents. I was 30 plus. I had traveled the world and graduated away from them, but I came back, and it was such a relief to be able to focus on work, be productive, and not have to worry about any of this shit. Doing the laundry, cooking, cleaning, all of these chores just outsourced to my mom. It was a massive time saver. And now that they've moved out, yeah, I'm independent. I have freedom. Excellent. But I'm tethered to other chores, right? I'm tethered to other things. Other things are chaining me. So you can see that freedom is a very elastic concept, right? You gain freedom in one area, but on the other hand, you sort of lose your freedom on the with something else. So you have to basically weigh everything up and how you want to structure your life, but you'll never be able to appreciate the freedoms you have or you don't have unless you have experienced them. Okay, so move away from your parents, right? I have a friend here. He's 31, just exactly 1 year younger than I am, and he has never left the house. Basically, the family nest. It's he's still there, and I don't think he'll ever change. Sorry, burping and shit. Yeah, that's pretty bad. um, and that's a massive loss for him. I feel for the guy, right? And anytime I would meet him, I would start. He avoids me, and I know exactly why because I keep telling him about starting to improve, moving out, becoming more responsible. Just trying to make something of himself, right? He'll have none of it, and he avoids me. So yeah, have to deal with it. Um, But the point is, he's never left the house. So he, on the one hand, he's free, like he's free from all the chores, but on the other hand, he's doing nothing with the time he has. Right? He is not working on himself. He is so it he's the most jailed person I know, basically, right? You're not selfish with your time. You don't do anything for yourself. You're just living in a house of like 10 a household of 10 people. It's not cool, right? You're making again someone else the priority, right? He has a sort of a granddad he has to take care of. His The health of his parents declining, but at one point you have to cut the ties and be selfish. Be selfish with your time. I mean, you have a life to live, bro. So that's what I wanted to say, more or less. Freedom is really difficult to achieve, but it's well worth the fight. Like that's the one thing people have died for and will keep dying for. And nowadays, it's getting harder to retain that freedom, right? So that was it. I'll see you in the next one.